Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Top Agent Podcast. It is episode 49. How are you doing, Stacy?
I'm good. 49 episodes. It's been fun. How are
That's
you?
it? That's all
Yeah,
you got?
that's all I got today. I'm a little off today. How are
Okay,
you doing?
I'm doing good. Before we go any farther, though, make sure you guys all go down there and hit like and subscribe on this channel.
Yes.
Like on the video, subscribe on the channel, click the bell so you're notified whenever we drop new content. But how's the week been in real estate for you?
Good. I sold a home in a smaller community that's about 30 minutes from the city, which everyone wants to move just outside the city. So multiple offers, sold over asking. Um, yeah, it was really nice, quick sale. Learned a few things along the way and met some great agents. Other than that, got a few buyers. One of my clients had a flood in her house, so that's unfortunate. But
It is
yeah,
unfortunate, but seems to be the way it goes. I had something similar happen where I had somebody that was ready to list their property had it
yeah.
broken into,
Oh,
and they had a whole bunch of stuff stored in the basement. And whoever broke in hauled it all upstairs and scattered it throughout the entire main floor, looking for valuables.
that's weird.
And then before they left, they stole, I think, 20 Swanson TV dinners that were in the deep freeze in the basement and did a whole bunch of drugs and left all the paraphernalia on the counter in the
So
kitchen.
they were there for like the weekend.
They were there for a while.
Yeah.
So I'm now selling a house with a boarded up back door, and or I will be. It's priced pretty aggressively to sell. It's not in a bad neighborhood. It just means that some undesirables were watching these folks move out
Yeah.
and knew that it was empty.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how it goes. But I did sell one of my very challenging listings in Westburn, Manitoba. And I say challenging because as I'm listing this property, it's two dwellings on one parcel of land. One of them is tenant occupied. The less desirable, it's a mobile home on the other half of it, was vacant. Well, I found the perfect client that wanted to live in the mobile and keep the tenant in the house. So it worked out well. But as I was listing the property, they started a massive construction project all along the highway that you had to turn off to get to this listing. So access became a problem. Every listing directional sign I put up got taken out by heavy equipment. So it was a bit of a gong show, but we got it done.
Well, at least you got it done. I do have a bit of information I'd like to share. I know a lot of agents are struggling right now, and a lot of people feel they're wasting their time with open houses. But when I was new, I did them quite a bit for senior agents, and now I do them always for my own listings when possible. And I'll still pick up other people's open houses, but I've never managed to get um, like a new client out of an open house. Like I've got, people set up on searches, but never somebody who said, "Can you come list my house next week?" And I managed to pull that off at this open house I did at the listing I just sold. And it was kind of inspiring for me because I never gave up on open houses, and I'm glad I didn't because it paid off. So this client wants me to list her house, and she wants me to help her buy a house. So it's don't give
Well,
up on
I
the
was
small things.
literally having that conversation with somebody 10 minutes before we went on here about the value of an open house. Now, it is rare to get a direct sale from an open house.
Yes.
It has happened for me, but it is rare. But what you
Mhm.
do end up doing is by word of mouth, people talk about your listing, someone else hears it, maybe they come, you pick up some clients. I have gotten a ton of clients out of open houses. So it's valuable for the realtor, it's valuable for the homeowner. Not to be, not to say that you need to do one every weekend that you have a listing active, but you should schedule one somewhere early in the listing.
Yes. First
And,
week I try or two.
and these are the activities that some realtors do not like to do. But in times like this, they should be done.
Yeah, I think it's important when times are slow in real estate to just put your face in the community. So open houses, volunteering. We're planning a meat bingo at the local community center, and it just kind of gives me a chance to help out the community and just be in front of people. So
Yeah. Well, let's talk about our guest.
he is a Winnipeg agent, and he's been an agent for quite a while. So I asked him to join us.
Martin Mushinski. Now, I might be butchering that last name. I don't think I am, but I could be.
Yeah.
Um, we'll find out for sure in a few minutes, but let's hear what Martin has to say.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Martin, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
Good. How are you both?
Good. Thank you for joining us.
No problem.
We're hanging in there. So we've already kind of introduced the world to you, our small world for this podcast, that is. But we like to get right into the biggest question, which is, how did you end up in real estate?
Good one. Let me think. Without being too personal, but basically major life change, and I kind of had two children really young, and major life change in a relationship, amicable, but I ended up having to, not having, but I was blessed to have my kids pretty much full time as much as possible. And I just looked at it like a crossroads. I was like, okay, I have to really step up my income. And not that it was only money related, but I actually registered for module one, I'm guessing like 7 years before I actually started doing it. And then when this family situation happened, I re-registered figuring I have to do something that's just able to support two kids by myself if I had to. And I kind of just went with it. And I had a few mentors that I kind of knew just from growing up that were realtors, and I kind of looked at them too as and how they worked. And I just I just figured, okay, there's nothing to lose kind of thing. It was either that or go back to school, and I'm really not good at books. Like I don't have that focus when it comes to studying. So, but with life skills and selling, I've always been into sales. I owned multiple businesses before. I've always been kind of a hustler and a grinder. So people that know me personally know that. So it kind of was a natural progression just to try it. And then, I love it. Like I love it. So it was kind of a blessing.
Nice. So what was life like before real estate? What kind of careers did you have then?
Tons of different things. Like I was blessed in that way because I was, in my first marriage, I worked in a factory job in a really big corrugation plant. So I was an operator there, and I kind of topped out where I can go there. But it was a really hard job, like physically. Like I've gotten people jobs there, and they all left because they're like, that's one of the most physical jobs. And I'll always respect those people that work there because it's a union job. It was multiple shifts. It was 7 to 3, 3 to 11, 11 to 7. So every week you'd change shifts. And it's so hard on the body. There's no air conditioning. So in the summer, it's literally like plus 55. Guys are losing like 8 pounds of water intake. It's a grind. So once you do jobs like that, it really gives you a wake-up call on what you kind of want to do in life. I see those people every year. We go on a football trip together. I have some best friends over there. But it's just not for me. Like after a while, I got tendonitis in my shoulders. It was just physically hard. And being on night shift is like my dad worked night shift for years with the government. He said it takes years off your life. So I had to kind of figure a way. And then my kids started getting older, and I told myself I'd never, ever miss a kid's sports game or whatever activity they have. And I never missed one football game, never missed one soccer game. And that was important too. When you work multiple shifts, you just can't be around. So that was one of the biggest reasons. And that was about 11 years that I started doing that. But I was a cook for 6 years, and cooking is my hobby. I love cooking. Whenever I want to relieve stress from real estate, I always just start cooking, and I cook everything. Like my wife's Jamaican. I know how to cook Jamaican now. I know how to cook Italian. My ex is Filipino, so I know how to cook Filipino. Like I've been really blessed with so many different people around me. So I've been a cook for 6 years. I worked in offices. I was a dishwasher. I'll never forget that.
Yeah, I did that one.
Yeah, and I did it as an adult, so it's like it's different when you're doing it as an adult because it's kind of a ego check. Um, and I remember having one child making $6 an hour, and so I've done everything I could think of. I owned businesses. I owned a record store in the village. It was really successful. So that was kind of my big part of my life. I owned this record store. I had a promotion business, so I'd put on concerts. Um, I
Wow.
worked a job in the music industry for years where I brokered deals. So once I left the factory, I got into sales in the music industry, and I would do stuff to do with record labels and bands, and I put artists on tour. I'd promote concerts at Le Rendezvous and the Pyramid. I've put on 100 plus shows as a
That's a
promoter
good
here.
sphere of influence to have.
Yeah. So I was always a hustler. Like I'd always flyer and hand out, I'd get kicked out of nightclubs because we'd flyer and really hustle and they'd kick us out. So I was always kind of a grinder and a promoter. So this was a natural progression to kind of promote myself for once because I was always promoting other people. So
Nice.
Did you ever take a trip out to Portage la Prairie while you were promoting?
we've done everywhere, but I can honestly say we probably haven't performed in Portage. We've done Canada probably 5 times. We've done the States. We did. Did we go to Europe? No. But we've never done Portage la Prairie. We've done Brandon, like Regina, Saskatchewan was always a tour. We'd always do Regina, Saskatoon. Sorry. We do little trips to Kelowna and like in BC, but never Portage la Prairie because I don't know if they had an actual nightclub there that would supported that type of music at that time. So
We did it for one period of time, but that's a story for another day. It's gone now. But how long you been in real estate?
so this is my about 12 and a half years, 12 years.
Wow.
August was 12 years. Yeah. So I've always been at one brokerage pretty much. And yeah, that was a great experience. So
So the natural question that I'm going to ask is, what was the thing that led you to Real Broker? Because obviously being in the business that long.
Yeah. So that was kind of interesting too, because I just kind of came to a point where I wasn't losing passion, but I'm 49 this month. So I started to think of a plan for myself. Like I'm kind of an introvert now. I work from home. I've been at home for 6 years. My wife recently joined me to work with me. She was in a really stressful situation. And I got to the point where with her job, I was like, you know what, let's work smarter, not harder. She was working nights too. So I'm on my second marriage with both wives working nights. And it's very hard to have a relationship when it's one partner's working nights all the time. Yeah. And they're long shifts, like 12-hour shifts, hour travel time each way kind of thing. So 14-hour day. So even that was part of this decision because I started thinking, okay, the kids are adults. They're out of the house pretty much. My daughter's still with us, but she's kind of planning to buy and stuff like that. So I'm thinking, okay, we only want to be here part of the year. We want to do other things in life too, besides real estate. And I started studying this model like itself because I was working from home and doing almost everything myself. Like I do everything pretty much. Like as soon as I get the photos and video, I'm doing all the videos, all the uploads, the marketing, the FinTrack. Like I'm doing everything pretty much. My wife's doing some of the bookkeeping, but pretty much everything is self-sustained, independent. So I've always kind of looked at it like, okay, how do I get out of that franchise model? When I owned a record store, we were an independent record store. We didn't go against, but we were independent where we controlled our whole business. I didn't have to ask permission for marketing or, have a boarded or employees making a bunch of decisions. There was just a different structure. So I love that. Like I love being self-employed business owner. So I always kind of focus, how do I get out of that franchise model? But the franchise is very comfortable. Like my experience at Remax is great. I have some great mentors and friends there that I've always kind of watched how they grow. And I would take little bits from everyone and say, okay, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to do. So it was just more or less getting out of that balloon. Like I just didn't really want to have representation with that friend. It's like owning a Subway. Like I watch Instagram videos of guys that own like sandwich shops in New York. It's different than a Subway, right? So I didn't want to be in that franchise model. And I kind of always had my foot out the door. And even my broker knew that. We had discussions every year. We had discussions about me leaving. And, but he's a great guy. Like, I love the guy. And he's one of the reasons why I stayed, and then friends there. But the model itself, I studied it for about a year and a half behind the scenes when I was watching EXP. But something about that I was just not comfortable with. Maybe it was the brand, the color scheme. I just noticed that some of the leadership in it was more focused on recruiting, and that's something I don't really want to be involved in.
Yeah.
So it just wasn't for me. So then when I heard about Real, which was about a year and a half ago also, I just started watching that. And then as soon as there started being some influence or people behind the scenes that were Remax related that I knew that were selling records or selling real estate, that was the deal breaker. I was like, okay, I want to be around productive people. Like, no matter what I do, I want to be around productive people. Like, I don't want to be around people that maybe are not independent themselves. So I started watching who's going to launch this. And are they productive? Do they sell homes? Are they independent? Can they do their own marketing? Are they go-getters? Are they young? Like I started thinking about my age, 49. Do I want to be around brokers that are in their 70s possibly? And I'm not saying they are, but maybe they would be some of these brokers in the franchise models. So I'm like, okay, I want to be around some more youthful people that'll take this company farther, even if I'm kind of chilling out a bit, right? Being almost 50 kind of thing. And that was the deal breaker, because as you guys know, our leadership is very organic, but it's also aggressive. Like, they're out there, they're doing what they have to do. And
it's always
that was the biggest reason. I was just like, as soon as I knew who was kind of launching it, I love the brand, I love the logo, I love the model. And I love the fact that I control almost everything I do. So we have a few brokers obviously, but my dashboard and everything I do, I'm a nerd. I love that stuff. Like, I don't really have to have all these people involved in my business. I'd rather have less people and work smarter than have this big stream of people that I have to go through. So all that stuff, I studied it. And then once obviously I sat with a few of the leadership, it was a no-brainer, like, for me, because I was waiting for it anyway. So it was either that or I was going to join a team. And the reason I was going to join a team is because at my age, I didn't want to slow down, but I do things consistent. So like, I know my numbers every year. They're very consistent. I stick to that. I never really work harder than that I have to, because I feel financially there's money for everyone. And that to me is not for me. Like, I want to see my wife. I want to go on football trips. I want to see my buddies. I want to be with my kids on Sunday dinner. Like, I want to do other things in life. So this was perfect. And I was like, okay, I can do my consistent numbers and actually streamline everything efficiently with this model versus the franchise model, because the franchise model is more set up for everyone in that franchise. This for me was a little bit more set up for me independently, but with a collaboration of like-minded people. So the people that are in it, they know what they're doing. Like, I don't have to tell James Boschman how to present a listing. I don't have to, like, he's been doing it. Like, he's basically like a broker in a brokerage and a brokerage, right? Like, and it's a testament, because he could move from one brokerage and still be successful.
Yeah.
And honestly, the people at Remax that I looked up to are doing the same thing. Like, some of my friends, and like Terry Isaric and Anita Sharma Turner, like, they're really good realtors that are kind of self-sustaining businesses on their own.
Mm-hmm.
So I looked at that, even I'm like, like, even themselves, they're like businesses inside of businesses, and they're behind the franchise model, but they're so talented and so successful and such good people that it's about themselves as realtors and their own brand, right? And so the model to me was like, okay, like, if you're a good realtor, you really don't have to throw yourself too much into that franchise idea, because you're gonna do well anyway. And we're gonna see it now with the market changing. The realtors that are really good are gonna stick around, and the ones that are not that talented, are not investing time, not investing marketing, not studying on how to level up their game, they'll probably fall off, right? Because it's a very tough business.
So that actually takes me right into the question I had for you. And, with times being tough, what would you suggest to those agents to grow their businesses?
I would suggest doing more yourselves. Like about this independence thing is we're such a small province and city that there's so much you can do on your own. Like it's nice to hire people and have a team of staff, but like there's so much with technology that you can do yourself. Like we know now that just creating a reel can get you maybe more views or just as many views as paying someone money for some high-end video. And I'll do the high-end video, like trust me, because I feel that that's needed also. But for new people, if you do not have the money, don't risk it. Like you can do things organically, and that's another reason why I like reels, because I looked at some of the, being almost 50 this year, I started thinking, okay, if I ever want to work and develop people and train someone, this model helps me train someone organically. I've had assistants before at Remax, and the financial structure is tougher there. With this model, I can organically train someone slowly without going bankrupt. And I love that. Like, I think that there should be 20-something-year-olds being able to come inside the business and not worry about going bankrupt and do things slowly, just like as if a lawyer graduates from university. They don't make good money right away. They go to a firm and they slowly grow. And that's how it should be in our industry. Instead of someone coming into the industry and all of a sudden, oh, I got to spend $100,000 on flyers to compete with the best team in the city. They shouldn't feel that pressure. They should feel, hey, I can sell 15 homes this year, still make more money than I would, working some other job and love my job, right? Yeah. And then not go broke. So this model to me is, and I tell people that, and I don't really recruit. Like I've had coffee maybe twice with people, and it's not myself recruiting people. It's more like I'm kind of cheesed out. Yeah, I'm cheesed out, and I'm like, hey, I love it. So if you're graduating from your school or you're graduating from real estate school and you want to do something, this is a less riskier way to do it. Because first of all, there's so much training. Second of all, just our real cafes. Like I have this thing that I started doing after COVID where I put a picture on my phone and it was like a scripture. We're Christian and it was breaking bread. And I was like, I made an oath to myself to start having as many lunches as possible with people.
Nice.
Because what happens when you sit down and have lunch with someone is you just like break bread and you talk, right? And you get to learn about the industry. And I always do that. Like I'll ask anyone that knows me. Every day I'm like, hey, you want to go for lunch? Like I go for so many lunches, right?
I want to go for lunch.
All right. Trust me, every day I'm out for lunch. You can ask my wife. I'm like, she's like, where are you going? I'm going for lunch. Like that's just what I do. Like I went with Terry yesterday. He's from Remax. We get along. Like we go for lunches. We talk business. We talk life. But it's also a way to connect and learn and absorb. Like there's so many people that out there that are good realtors. You don't need to compete. Like I remember meeting with James once, Anita once, like different people from different brokerages, and just pick each other's brains and your experiences. And that's what I like about this company also, is because we have these cafes where people just meet up and it's laid back and there's no pressure. It's just like, hey, what's your experience with this? Yeah. Oh, I did a home inspection and this happened. Like there's so much free information out there that these young people can learn by doing that. This model and the setup of networking is great because people are afraid. Like some people are afraid to, you have these top producer charts. And I came from that top producer feeling. And it's like 10% of the people making 90% of the money.
Yeah.
And that's this industry. And thankfully I've been successful where I feel comfortable that I'm part of that. But I also don't feel comfortable because it's like, I know there's new people that never get up there. And then they end up leaving some of these other models because they feel like there's this, how do I get up there? And it's like, well, we're all human, right? Like there's nothing wrong with meeting with those people and having lunches together and saying, hey, how did you grow your business? Like, how did you've been doing it 30 years. How do you succeed? How do you put your kids through school? How do you pay CRA? Like there's so many things that people don't understand. You get all this money and it's like, but guess what? The government wants some of that money, right?
Yeah.
So it's fast money it's a lot of money, but it's not all ours. So there's a lot of young people that need to understand that before they get in it, or when they get in it, because they could learn some lessons. And that's what I like about this this company also. There's a lot of open realtors, like people, there's people in my neighborhood that are realtors. And we'll meet at Empty Cup sometimes for coffee, just to chill out and talk. And it's a bond, not a brotherhood, but it's just a togetherness, right? Where it's like, there's nothing wrong with it. I kind of make this joke all the time, saying I'm half Italian, and I say that back in the day at Grant Park Mall, there'd always be old Italian men. They're probably still there, and they sit and have coffee with each other every morning. And then in my neighborhood, I have some friends that are Italian, and we say the same thing. We're like, yeah, when we're older, we just want to meet up in the mornings and have coffee or espresso or whatever. And when we started doing those bar Italia things, I was laughing because I'm like thinking, that's my future. My future is I want to be able to not focus on making money, but focus on networking and just having coffee once a day or lunches and meeting people, and still making my sales so that I'm still successful, but not the pressure of having to be like the best or this or that, because it's not going to happen. There's better realtors. There's ones that make more money. I've been blessed to like know some amazing realtors, like I said, like Terry and Anita, and some of these people that work so hard, and I see how their structure is, and they're so good at it. That's their talent. That's for them. I can have my piece of the pie too and do my thing. I might not do it as big or as fast or as much sales, but this is my piece. This is my piece, and there's 2,700 realtors. Everyone could have a little piece, right? So
yeah. Well, and that's kind of like, I didn't know what this podcast was going to be when we got into it, but I was telling Ryan last week how it, you said you listen to the podcast yourself, and
I do, yeah.
It's almost like we're having lunch with these people, right? We're sitting down, we're picking their brains, and like I take a piece of something from every episode we do with all these experienced realtors, and it's kind of why we created this, just to help each other.
It's important. Like some of the realtors I mentioned, they're really good realtors, and I don't care what brokers they're from. It's just it's basically meeting people and networking, because it all helps, because you probably will meet one of these realtors through a deal someday.
Yeah.
So if you have that connection already and that relationship, they'll know, they'll be like, ethically, Martin's a good guy. Like, he knows what he's doing. I don't mind doing a deal with him. He's looking out for his clients. And that's something that's really important in our industry, is not just meet up once a year at an award show or whatever. It's like, get out there and network. And it's in every industry. Like, other industries do that too, right? So networking is important, and it doesn't matter what brokerage or model you're from. It's just good to give other realtors respect and say, hey, I acknowledge what you're doing. You guys are doing a great job, and maybe ask a couple of questions too.
Yeah, we had Dana Canton on here, and then I did a deal with her like 3 days later. So
we'll see. And Dana, before she came to Real, I remember when she was a Goodfellow, and I did a deal. I wrote an offer. Something happened where I connected with her, and I remember hanging up, and I'm like, man, her communication skills are on point.
Yeah,
and that's one thing that I look like I'm like a sponge, right? And one of the biggest things I watch for is communication. Like, if someone responds and like someone's calling you back, or they text quickly, it's so important, because like, we have clients to answer to. So if I ask a Dana or a Terry or a Stacy or Ryan a question, the response time is important, so I can tell my clients. So it's not like they're waiting all day, right? So all those things you think about, and you're like, well, this realtor's good because she gets on it right away, and she communicates fast, because it's a time sensitive business. Like, everything is time sensitive. Like, our offers are times, there's dates, and people don't realize that. Like, it's just very important that timing is big, right? From touch bases to text, response time is really important.
Let me ask you something. You've been around the business quite a while, and you've seen kind of an evolution of social media as far as it goes in real estate. What do you feel like the role is currently?
Very important. Like, I came from a brokerage where I would not fight, but I would advocate to say, like, for example, we had an Instagram page at my last brokerage. We didn't have our website on the profile. Like, I was like saying, hey, like, this is a no-brainer. You got to have our website listed there. You got to have our website on our free press ad. Like, I would advocate for all this stuff, because when I market, I say 30 to 40% of everything is social media now. Like, when I tell my listings, my vendors, I say, hey, everyone is looking at the house on the phone before they even show up. So the evolution of social media is where we take it, right? So I also think one of the reasons I came to Real is because I was focused more on myself at my last brokerage, where I'd be like, hey, I've done this. I'm a top producer here. I'm in that. I got this award. I think, Pete, we're going into a different phase. Like, we're more into this where it's more raw now, where people want to see more raw stuff. Like, what's your life about? Like, like what are you doing outside your life or outside of real estate? A little bit more authentic, because, and I'm guilty of doing the other stuff too for years. So sometimes I'll take little social media breaks where you need that mental health break from social media, right? Because your algorithm, it could be annoying. Like, it could be so annoying. And so you try and figure a way to take a break from that. But as realtors, I think it's just about putting stuff out there. So, and it's all about views. So if you're not getting views, like, for example, if you put up a personal picture of you and your wife, you'll probably get 200 likes or views, right? You put up a listing photo, you'll probably get 56.
Yeah.
Like, people are tired of it, right? Like, they're tired of seeing, oh, I just sold this,
Oh,
I just did this, or here's my new listing. And I'm guilty of it. Like, I'll put it up because I have to. Like, I have to show my new listings. But I also have to realize that that's not all people want to see. They want to see other stuff, right? And I don't care what anyone says. If they tell you social media is cheesy or doesn't work, they're lying, because I've had so many messages and DMs and Facebook messages from previous high school people or new people or relatives. It's the fastest way to connect, to get a hold of someone, to meet up, to do a listing presentation, or hook up with a buyer, like, or whatever. Like, it's just as fast as texting now. So you have to be on board. And as much as we hate it some days, we have to be on board with it, because that's what people want. Like, people want it quick. They want everything is this generation is quick. So even a video, people don't want to watch a video for 2 minutes. They want to watch a reel for 30 seconds. Like, so as realtors, we have to understand that. So if you watch my stuff, I'll have a video, but I also have a reel created by the same guy.
Yeah.
Because I know that I'm going to get more views probably on the reel, because people just, their minds don't want to watch the whole 2 minutes.
No.
And then imagine just me, and then there's 2,700 realtors doing the same thing, right?
Yeah.
So that's a lot. Like, people they get annoyed with us, right? And whether they say it or not, people are muting us. Like, they're muting us because they're probably tired of seeing it. They see it from everyone. And I always laugh about it, but we're realtors. Like, we're not like life change. Like, we have relationships with our clients, and we look out for them, and we have to do a good job ethically. But we're realtors. We're not like changing the world. We're not surgeons. Like, we're not inventing. Like, we also have to put it in perspective. We're selling a product, but we have to be good at it, because it's a relationship business, right?
Yeah.
And we have to protect our clients on both sides. So.
Yeah.
So I try and balance that social media thing out, because I don't want to be annoying to people, because sometimes I get afraid of that. I'm like, am I going to annoy someone because it's like too much? So sometimes I take breaks, but at the end of the day, for me, it's still all about the product. And that's why you won't see my face on the sign, because it's all about the house. Like, it's all about the condo I'm selling. It's not about me. It's just, I want to be that person marketing it and presenting it, but it's more about the product, and then our brand as an agent marketing that product. So it's just kind of simple when you think about it, right?
Yeah. So other than social media, sorry, Ryan, other than social media, how do you keep in touch with your sphere of influence and generate leads?
Again, organic. Like I study other realtors all the time. I mentioned some on this that I said, but I've done kind of things my own way. I've never had a CRM, whatever that is, like where you have the list. This was the first time ever in 12 years I got my wife to upload everyone to Chime. I've never, ever had a CRM.
How is Chime?
So it's like, I haven't used it yet. We just have everyone in there. But I'm like, I don't know, like even that's been organic, where so 98 to 99% of my business is a referral or repeat business.
Yeah.
So it's very client focused, because it's not really, I'll do the odd direct mail campaign right after I sell, like in a little area. Like I might do 5,000 in Fort Richmond after I just sell a house, but it's very rare. Like I'm not doing it every month, right? But 99% of my business almost is repeat and referral. So that organic growth, I find that if you just take care of your people, they will help you grow. You know,
Yeah.
if you're a good plumber, you're going to get business because they're going to tell people about you.
Yeah.
Agent just called me this week. They said, you know, a plumber, it took me 30 seconds to share my plumber because he's a great plumber,
Yeah,
right?
it's good to
So,
have a contact list.
yeah, so I expect that as a realtor. And the other thing people don't realize is, like, I don't care what anyone says, everyone knows realtors. Like, everyone knows a realtor, like, whether they went to high school with the realtor. And I used to take it personal when people would choose another realtor. Like, now I don't, there's not a, nothing in my system takes it personal. Like, now it's like, hey, you know, like, no problem. Like, yeah, like, we all know realtors. I know realtors. You know realtors. Everyone knows realtors now. And so it's like, there's no problem if they choose someone else if that's their relationship with that other person, right? There was a guy I used to work with. He interviewed 3 realtors. There was me and 2 others, and the other 2 he went to high school with. I didn't take it personal because he had a relationship with them too, right?
Yeah.
So, and they're good realtors. Like he chose a really good realtor. So I'm like, what am I going to hate on, right? So I just feel if I just take care of my client base, it grows naturally. If you're a good person, which again, this model of being good, working hard, being kind was ideal because I always think, the proof is in the pudding. Like if you're a good person, it shows. You do good things ethically. If you do things right, it shows. Um, it's what it could take 10 years to build a reputation and 10 minutes to take it down.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
if you do something, if you're, yeah, if you're a bad realtor and ethically you're doing stuff wrong, you're not going to last. Like, so if you just grow your client base and again, with this model of affordability where there's less pressure to sell right away, this allows people to organically grow, like, so that they could take their time, really take care of their clients. And usually a client will tell like 5 people, right? And they'll be like, yeah, go to this person. Um, they feel good about it. They feel good about telling someone about their realtor. So that's basically how. So I don't really have a CRM until this year, which is crazy, but yeah, if that's what it's called, right? CRM.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
Yeah. CMA is the other one.
yeah. Yeah, those are
Something else I don't really do.
yeah, I don't really do that either.
That's another discussion.
Ryan, you ready for the fun ones?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Let's get into them. Martin, these ones are a little bit different, a little bit more off topic, but what is your favorite movie of all time?
The Warriors.
Ooh,
If you're an OG, you know what that is.
I know what that is.
Yeah. So
Stacy probably has no idea.
yeah, that's a classic. You know, obviously, like I'm half Italian, so I'll be honest. And I just made this joke to my wife the other day. She's like, so we were talking about the mafia and stuff like that. I'm like, that's my people. I'm like, don't joke about them. Like, and she's like, what are you talking about? Because I'm half Italian, and I was like joking around, and she obviously, you know, I'm joking, and I was just saying those are my favorite movies, right? Like Goodfellas, Casino. Like Joe Pesci is my favorite actor. Like I would say anything Martin Scorsese usually, but ideally The Warriors is my favorite movie ever.
Interesting. What is your favorite thing to do when you're not doing real estate?
I would say like family time, but people that know me know like I'm a Viking season ticket holder, and I've been going for 23 years. So I'm a huge NFL fan, and that's a part of me. Like it's a culture that's a part of me. I go every year. Some of my friends I've gone 20 something years straight with in September. So it's like a bond ship of going with some buddies, and usually 1 or 2, no more than 2. And it started out as a party, and now it's like we're older and it's more tamer. But that's something I do every year from September to February. I watch NFL and go see games, and then cooking for my wife. Like I love cooking for my family, my wife and my kids, and just like I love cooking. Like this week I made curry goat, last week oxtail, like there are things that take time, like 4 hours in a Scotch
What
pot,
time's
right? Like,
dinner?
yeah. And like I can do a lot of different styles, like Italian, Ukrainian, Filipino, Jamaican is one of my favorite lately, obviously, because I learned to cook that. So I love cooking. Like I love it. Like I'll put
So
the
the real
radio on and
Christmas
I'll just
party is
cook.
at his house. Okay.
I've had Christmas parties. Yeah, I've had some really big parties actually.
Mm.
Martin, I gotta do a shameless plug here.
Oh,
Guess who was on NFL primetime for about, I don't know, 10 seconds last night?
yourself?
This guy right here.
Oh,
Really?
how?
Because a friend of mine
Hmm.
and an old rival, Travis Bagent,
Okay.
his son is Tyson Bagent, who's now the starting quarterback for the Bears.
Yeah, yeah. They showed his dad too.
They showed his dad arm wrestling. Well, I was the guy he was arm wrestling.
Are you kidding me? That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's awesome. That's the
small
belt
world.
behind him there is his arm wrestling belt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, his dad actually looked kind of familiar. Like he looked like a Winnipegger. When I saw his dad, I'm like, that guy looks like a Winnipegger. Where are they from?
Charlestown, West Virginia.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I started getting
Town.
these messages because I was not watching the game.
Yeah.
I just saw you on NFL primetime. I was like, what? And then I got some.
I watched the game too, but I didn't see that part.
Yeah.
So
Anyway,
that's
next
awesome.
question. What book has had the most influence on you?
The Bible, but I mean, like, to me, that's life changing. I grew up a Catholic, and believe it or not, I went to all the Catholic schools and never read the Bible once, which
Yeah.
which is weird. And my kids went to Catholic school, but I never read the Bible or got into it until 10 years ago for the first time.
And then
So
you
that
read
changed
it.
my life.
And then you
Yeah,
read it.
slowly. And actually, my wife gave me the Bible that you read something like daily. So, and and that changed my life because even to the point where when I would take my real estate tests, my wife would sit in the car and read the Bible while I was taking the test because I thought I would fail every single time. Like I just do not study well, and I did well every time. And so it was kind of like an inside story with us. I'm like, and she'd sit in the parking lot, wait for me while I took the test, which is hours, right? You know how long that takes.
I hope you didn't make her sit there in the winter.
I don't even remember, to be honest.
That's
like
nice
I don't
that
remember
you
when.
did it though.
If I finished in August, no, it's probably spring.
Spring. Yeah, that's a good
Yeah.
time then.
Yeah, or started maybe in the winter. Yeah.
Our winters are extra lovely, as you know. So
Yeah. But even the Bible, like it's so complex and so big, and I don't read well. Like I can read something and then like I don't even know what I read. So
yeah.
I'm just not a good reader.
Have you given
So when
audiobooks a try?
Yeah, I listened to the Bible audiobook. I listen to people's podcasts, obviously, but even that, like I have my attention span is really, like we'll start a Netflix show and I'll watch like 3 episodes and I'll be done, right? Like I'll be like, okay, I'm good. Like
It's like a realtor
yeah,
thing. We all just have short
I don't know, like like I just rather do things. Like I
Yeah.
like to watch sports. Like I love sports. Like I watch sports all the time. And I watch cooking shows, which is cheesy, but that's what I do. But yeah, I'm not a reader. Like even doing our tests and stuff, all these manuals and stuff, like it's good they're on our screens now because I just find it easier when it's
Yeah.
interactive that way.
Yeah, it is hard to get through that stuff though, because it is a lot of reading. I
Yeah.
struggle with it. I do it in pieces.
Well, so I just started taking my license in Ontario, the
Oh, nice.
interprovincial one. I wanted to get my license in Ontario, and it's like, I don't know, say 2,000 pages in 2 weeks. Like I was lost. Like I lasted like 200 pages and then I stopped. And they're like, "Oh, you didn't show up for your virtual test," and I was like, "Ah, it's okay." Like I just
good.
ignored it. And
I'll do a referral.
yeah, I'm like, the timing's not right. Like mentally, I can't
Yeah.
read 2,000 pages right now. It was like a lot of, in a short period of time. So I was like, I'll take 6 months, see if I can
Yeah.
pass it. And I was just doing it for a challenge. I just figured I love going to Toronto. And I know a lot of people there. My mother-in-law lives there. So it's like, yeah, I just figured, let's see if I can do this. And I couldn't do it. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
Like again, people that I look up to that become brokers and upgrade themselves. I look up to a lot of those people because I'm like, that's a challenge, especially as you get older, like studying and upgrading your knowledge. I started taking my broker license in Winnipeg and I got to phase 2 and then stopped. And because I felt I'm better in sales than managing people, because that was my goal too, to open a brokerage, but it's just not for me.
That's fair. So the last question of the day, single best piece of advice you've ever been given.
Oh, it's going to be blunt, but work smarter, not harder. And I put that with everything now. Like, it's just, efficiency is so huge. The other day I went and repaired my car, and bless my wife, she's awesome because she drives me around sometimes if I need a ride. But I had like strict schedule. So I dropped my car off, and instead of getting a ride or waiting for a ride, I called an Uber, and it came in 1 minute and 30 seconds. And then it got me somewhere for $15, right? And so that's kind of how I do everything now. It's very efficient because, like, in our job, like I said, time sensitivity is huge. So working smarter, not harder, to me is so important, because if you do that, you can actually focus on things that are going to make you money or get you successful in that product versus wasting a lot of time, right? And I've done that. Like, I've done that where you spend so much time on something and it doesn't end up doing anything, right? So now everything is working harder, not smarter. I get up early in the morning, like 5:30 in the morning, and I start on my laptop, and I don't even leave my house until traffic's done, because I figure I'm not sitting in traffic. I'll work on the laptop, and then I go for my lunches or whatever, right? But I don't leave until I do work, and I streamline that work early in the morning so that I don't have to do it later.
Yeah.
So I try and efficiently get it done in a small period of time with no interruptions. Like, most people aren't around at 6:30. My phone's on silent till 8 a.m. So before 8 a.m., I do so much. And then by the time 8 or 9, I'm like waiting around, what should I do next, right? And then I have all this time. And that's what I mean with this career. Like, the people that are selling, like, whatever, 4 times as many homes I am, it's amazing what they're doing. Like, I'm like, holy crap. But they're also working like all day, right? Like, I know some of them, they're working really hard. They're getting home at 11 sometimes. Like, it's not easy. It's not for everyone, right? So for me, working smarter, not harder, is allowing me to actually sometimes feel semi-retired. And that's why I'm able to watch football, go on some of these mini trips, do things now that my kids are adults, they're done playing sports. All those things I'm able to do now because I've tweaked everything properly to a way that's efficient. And that's one, I tell people about that line all the time. I'm like, work smarter, not harder, because I've worked hard in a factory for 11 years, like never so hard in my life, right? So, and now I'm working less, but it's better for me. So
yeah, well, that's awesome.
Well, Martin, that's all we got for you today, my friend.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much.
Don't jump off here just yet. I'm going to end the recording, but I appreciate you coming on and sharing all this wisdom with us, and look forward to seeing you soon.
Thanks.
Thank you.